So the Sixers are sitting at 15-24, 9 games behind 500, while having a very tough schedule moving forward. Plus, Joel Embiid is out for the next 10 days, probably more if we're being real. And per Tim Bontemps, the Sixers organization remains focused on maximizing the team's potential this season rather than focusing on their lottery odds. However, the upcoming schedule and their 15-24 record could alter that approach. Between now and the trade deadline, Philadelphia has 10 out of 11 games against teams 500 or better, and 8 of those 11 games come as part of back-to-back sets. And while sources said the team remained focused on maximizing this group's potential for this season, rather than maximizing its lottery odds, the next 3 weeks could easily see the 76ers change their tune. So arguably the Sixers' best trade asset is Gershon Yabusele. Supposedly with the new CBA expiring, veteran minimums are very, very valuable. Now, I have seen this trade floated around Sixers Twitter and in the Sixers world. Gershon to the Oklahoma City Thunder and basically saying, yo, release our protections. We'll give you Gershon. But honestly, I just don't really understand this from an OKC perspective. Like, there's way more potential in that pick compared to Gershon Yabusele. Plus, if you're an OKC GM, I mean, look at the roster. You got a perfect roster. If I'm upgrading for someone like Cam Johnson, who can really fix the shooting woes that the OKC Thunder team has. Like, I look at a guy like Kenrich Williams, and I feel like he kind of brings the same things as Gershon Yabusele. Maybe he's a little worse. And I could also say the same thing for Jalen Williams, who would most likely be the salary matching player that the Sixers get back if this were to happen, because this is another tricky thing about working with OKC is the Sixers can't take back any salary. So if you're trying to trade for a Dylan Jones or whatever, the OKC Thunder are going to have to take on an expiring veteran minimum like Eric Gordon or Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson. And why would they want to add that to their roster? They wouldn't. That's just the bottom line. Like, the only option is Jalen Williams for Gershon. Honestly, I think the Sixers, to get them to remove that protection, they're probably going to have to add a future first-round pick. But if it were to happen, I think Matt John had a perfect trade, a mock trade from ClutchPoints.com. I mean, this is great. So the Thunder received Gershon and Eric Gordon, and it's basically a swap. Sixers 2026 first-round pick, and then the Sixers get their 2025 first-round pick with no protections back. And also the Thunder, on top of that, get a second-round pick for 2027. Also, the Sixers get Ousmane Dieng, who's a pretty interesting player, tall, lanky, power forward, athletic. Just hasn't really worked out with the Thunder. He's just kind of been stuck behind a lot of talent, and also when he's gotten a chance, he just hasn't been able to put any consistent play up there to earn a real spot. So I think that would be the most realistic trade if it were to go down. Now, moving on to another player I could see likely getting moved if the Sixers are indeed sellers, Kelly Oubre Jr. He's actually one of the leaders in deflections per game. I think he could help a playoff contender. Now, the thing is, the Sixers have him on basically a 1-year deal. He has a player option next year, so most likely, if he stays with the Sixers, he's declining that and demanding more money. And do you really want to pay Kelly Oubre more than $7.9 million? I don't know. That you answer that question. However, I think he's valuable to a team like the Kings. I think the Kings are going very hard for Cam Johnson. But if they don't land Cam Johnson, I can see them pivoting to a lesser talent, but kind of brings the same dynamic, upgrades the wing position. I think he can really help their defense. And the Sixers, in return, will get Trey Lyles, who is on a expiring contract. He's a solid player as well, but the expiring is probably more enticing than Trey Lyles himself with where the Sixers are at. And also, they get a second-round pick. So basically, instead of losing Kelly Oubre for nothing, you get a quality player and a second-round pick that hopefully can turn into something. But maybe with how Kelly Oubre is performing this year in terms of deflections and defensively and just bringing the energy and toughness each and every night, maybe just maybe you can swing a protective first-round pick, a heavily protected first-round pick, but that'd be pretty tough in my opinion. I think a Kelly Oubre deal that would be like the best would result in Indiana giving the Sixers Jarrett Walker. A young player just hasn't been able to find his footing in Indiana. Very inconsistent minutes, really hasn't done much there. He's a lottery pick, a lottery talent, can be very good if he gets more opportunity. Maybe he just isn't right for Indiana, and maybe they want more defense, and Kelly Oubre can be that. But I think the Sixers are going to have to include like multiple second-round picks and maybe even a protected first-round pick to get that done. But I think that is what you're looking for in terms of a good player back. So the tricky thing is with the Sixers, though, Kelly Oubre, it's tough to determine how other teams view him because the Sixers got him for a vet minimum. And then heading into the offseason, we expected that the Sixers wouldn't be able to pay for him. But then he comes to the Sixers on a pretty team-friendly deal for what we have gotten out of him so far. And it's the same thing with Gershon. He's on a vet minimum. It's his first year actually producing in the NBA. Who knows if it's just him being in a good situation. Maybe if someone else trades for him, like the Thunder, he has to play more power forward. Right now, he's playing a lot of center, and he's doing well offensively because of that. Maybe if you slot him in the power forward position, he struggles a bit. So I don't know how other teams view Kelly Oubre and Gershon Yabusele. I think someone like Caleb Martin honestly might have more value despite him having a very inconsistent year, being injured, and just looking rough overall because he has a pedigree. He's known to show up in big moments. He's known to be a pretty consistent role player. But also, do the Sixers want to give him up because he's on a cost-controlled contract for 4 years? And I think he showed in big games this year, there haven't been many, so it's a small sample size, a.k.a. versus the Boston Celtics, he's going to show up and play better. And ever since he's come back from that shoulder injury, hopefully he comes back from another injury and plays well, but when he came back from that injury, he was looking very good and looking like a very winning role player. So do the Sixers want to move on from him? Do other teams actually value Kelly Oubre and Gershon that much where you want to get stuff? Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot more Trey, Lyles, and a second-round pick type of offers than a guy like Jarrett Walker. I think the Jarrett Walker one is pretty unrealistic, to be quite honest with you, but I was just throwing it in there because that's a young player you would really want on the Sixers for a selling team. But yeah, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts below in the comment section and leave a like and subscribe. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.